How can I make this research not just a requirement, but how can I leverage this to build a platform? I've been helping people to write books, build coaching programs, and use their message to grow their brands for years, guys. Like almost a decade I've been doing this work. But when it came time for me to go back to school for my doctorate education in leadership and curriculum, I had to decide, how can I make this research not just a requirement, but how can I leverage this to build a platform? And I think that this is so important because I think it was someone who had responded to one of my posts on Instagram, and they said, there's not a lot of financial incentive for anyone to go back and get a doctorate. And I'm like, yeah, that's if you are going about it the original way. But I went into this with a mindset and with the goal of monetizing it. Like, I'm never going to do anything just for the sake of having a title. Like, what is the purpose? Why would I put myself through that? Like, if I'm going to put in this time, this effort, this energy, and pay for this, and there really needs to be an ROI on the back of this for the rest of my life. And it has to do more than with just having esteem or having a title, right? And so for me, my dissertation isn't just a paper to submit. It is literally the foundation for my next published work. And so for any of you all that may be unfamiliar with the academic process, a doctoral degree is a terminal degree. It is not the same as these honorary doctorates that these paper mills are putting out. Now, there are honorary doctorates that are like official credentials. Like, so for instance, say Felicia Rashad or Michelle Obama receives an honorary doctorate from Howard University, from Princeton, from Harvard University for their contributions to society. Those are legitimate honorary doctorates. They came from legitimate institutions. There was an actual commencement ceremony that took place in an auditorium or a stadium. What we might see now on social media, which I think is just absolutely ludicrous, are these made up schools that have no academic accreditation at all, no affiliation with anything, and these schools typically will give so-called honorary doctorates, usually like in Christian leadership or something like that, to influencers, to celebrities, and they use it as a marketing tool to bring attention to their school and to attract people to their program, because they do charge for these programs somewhere upwards of, anywhere between $6,000 and $8,000 from my research, because I've gone to these websites, I looked up the programs, I've seen them, and I'm like, this is absolutely ludicrous. And I think the worst part is people who get invited to one of these so-called honorary doctorates and they don't do anything. They don't put in any type of studying. They don't do anything. And they have this fake commencement ceremony, usually in some type of room. And then they're putting doctor all over the place and misleading people, and they haven't studied anything. First of all, any industry can have a doctorate. A doctor in education, a doctor of medicine, which is an MD, a doctor of law, which is a Juris Doctorate, okay? A doctor in business. Like, there are professional doctoral programs. In my industry, it's called an EDD, a Doctor of Education. And as a part of that, we have to create and we have to write what's called a dissertation, which is basically research. It's a 5-chapter book that goes into detail about the research that you're conducting, the research that's already out there on your topic, a breakdown of your research, how you conducted the research, the findings, the implications, what this means, and what your suggestions are. So really, when I'm saying 5 chapters, I'm not talking about meat and potatoes. We're talking about upwards of 150 to 200 pages, Times New Roman 12-point font, APA. Okay? APA style citation, and then you have to defend it. And so that's just that part of, usually there's 2 to 3 years of coursework where you are working towards that. You're learning the different research methodologies. You're learning about statistics. You're learning all these things that you have to do in preparation for preparing this dissertation, writing it, and then defending it. And upon defense, your work is published and you are conferred the title of doctor, and it is the highest level of degree that you can get.